Welcome to the special broadcast of The Nest, so you can get to know some of your ASB candidates. My name is Kayla Gowie. I am the Junior Justice for this year. I'd like to take a minute to introduce our other justices. Brian and Helen are our freshman justices. Quincy and Yubi are sophomore justices. Gracky and Maria are chief justices. Unfortunately, Gracky couldn't be here with us today. As justices, one of our main jobs is to run all of the elections and ensure that there are a fair and equitable process. We're here today to introduce the candidates and ask them a few questions. Our first are running unopposed, so we give them a few minutes to introduce themselves and explain why they are running for office. Please welcome Isaac Troll, ASB Treasurer, and Hannah Kim, ASB Recording Secretary. Hannah, let's start with you. Why are you interested in recording secretary position?
I want to be recording secretary because I remember how fun it was to be a part of being a sophomore senator, and I want to be more involved in school and help people out.
Thank you, Hannah. Now, Isaac, it's your turn. Why are you interested in being the treasurer?
So this semester I started taking the SEC project management class, and when I heard about the treasurer position, I thought it was a perfect way for me to apply those skills, which I find really interesting.
Thank you, Isaac. At this time, we're going to make a quick scene change and bring out our next candidates. Next up, we'd like to bring out our corresponding secretary candidates, Beth Ma and Janice Kim. The corresponding secretary's main duty is to know and communicate all the events happening at Shorewood. They run the reader board, potty talks, and Shorewood's Instagram. They also need to attend the booster meeting and have to reach out to different groups at Shorewood to highlight their achievements and promote inclusion. The justices have come up with a few questions and will alternate between the two of you. You for answering first. Let's start with Beth. Question 1. How will you be more inclusive of all the diverse interest groups at Shorewood?
Okay, so I absolutely love all of the clubs and teams that we have here at Shorewood, including our music department and our art departments. But ways that I could include everyone at Shorewood would be to check in with clubs once a month, to make sure to talk to them and really ask them if there's anything they want put on the agenda. That way I am directly corresponding with them, and I will be the first one to ask them instead of just waiting for them to come to me, and including, for instance, robotics tournaments and morning announcements.
Thank you, Beth. Janice?
I would do similar things as Beth. I would reach out both online and in person to make sure I establish a relationship with them, and I would try to reach out not just once every year, but as many times as I can to make sure that their events are announced to our students.
Thank you. You'll be answering first for question 2.
Mm-hmm.
Corresponding secretary has many several weekly consistent jobs. How will you stay accountable for your work?
Well, this year I am recording secretary, and I've had some accountability parts as well, and I feel like this year I've managed to tackle AP classes as well as leadership, like my duties as leadership. And next year, with senior year, I'll take a little bit more easier classes and make sure that leadership and my duties as corresponding secretary are my number one priorities.
Thank you. Beth?
Okay, so this year I've been taking a few advanced classes as well as an AP for history, but ways that I would be able to be super consistent with this is that I am almost done with most of my credits for the major ones that are required for graduation because I took a few more advanced classes in middle school, so I will have more time to dedicate to the leadership class and focusing a lot on promoting everything that needs to be seen and heard in the school.
Thank you, Beth and Janice, for your thoughtful answers. We would now like to bring out our vice president candidates. The VP's main job is to run the student council meetings, but is also the key partner for the president in working on school events. Please welcome Joey and Hanad. Once again, the justices have prepared a few questions, and we will be alternating who goes first. Let's start with Hanad. Question 1. What is the most important lesson your time at Shorewood has taught you, and how would you apply this lesson to your role as vice president?
So the most important lesson I was taught at Shorewood is what leadership really is. Before joining leadership, I didn't really have a clear definition of what leadership is, but after joining the class, I learned you have to be committed, dedicated, and kind to other people, and that's what real leadership is. And I could use that as vice president to make Shorewood a better school and more fun for everyone.
Thank you. Joey?
I feel like one important lesson from my time at Shorewood is not to be too hard on myself, because in leadership, when things happen, you can't take all the blame on you, because there's a lot of other factors, and also in school, like in a group project or other things like that, being hard on yourself just makes everything a lot more difficult for you and everybody else in your surroundings.
Thank you. Joey, you'll be answering first for the next question.
Okay.
If you could make one positive change to our school's environment, what would it be and why?
One change I would make would be having more people be enjoying the coming to school. So I'd say having people want to be here instead of just feeling they have to be forced to be here, and having to come to school and have something that makes them a little happier when they came compared to when they left.
Thank you. Hanad?
One thing I want to work on is definitely assemblies, especially the PEP assemblies. I noticed that usually only sports team are recognized, and I want to make sure that robotics and let's say the nests and everyone gets the recognition they deserve. Yeah.
Thank you. You'll be answering first for the next question. How do you plan on listening to and integrating the opinions of your peers into your platform?
I plan on doing this by just listening to what they're saying and knowing that even though I may be vice president, I don't have all the say, and it doesn't matter what leadership position you have, everyone gets the same amount of voice and ideas get to be shared the same way equally.
Thank you. Joey?
So I want to be someone that's open all the time. So if you ever see me in the hallways or in classrooms, if you guys have any questions, you could always text me or talk to me in person. And I'm always open to talking to new people. And if you guys ever need someone to talk to, I'm always going to be that person there for you. And yeah, whoever you are.
Thank you. This is our last question. If you were a store at a mall, which one would you be and why? Joey, you're
If I was a store at a mall, I think I'd be Target, because Target, it sells everything from clothes to foods, and they have discounts. Also, they have a little Starbucks in the corner in case you get tired and want a little break, and there's a charging station for your phones.
If I would be a store, I'd be H&M, because H&M has a lot of variety in its clothes and the styles and suitable for everyone, and I think that's also what leadership is. It's not the same for everyone. Everyone has their own ideas and everyone has their own perception of what leadership really is.
Thank you, Joey and Hanad. You are both outstanding candidates. We are now going to make our final scene change and bring out our ASB president candidates. Sean McCandless, Nick Calandrillo, Jeremiah Johnson Tobler, Jersey Patterson, and Julian Goldstick running for ASB president. Wow. The ASB president has an extremely important role in the school. They represent all students on various subjects and district committees, as well as head several school events and assemblies. This job is huge. Please welcome Sean, Nick, Jeremiah, Jersey, and Julian to the table. Each of you will be answering 5 questions in various orders. We will start with Jersey for question 1.
Alrighty.
Why do you want to run for the president position?
I want to run for president because I want people to feel like their president knows them and that they know their president. And I just want people to feel like they can come to their president with any of their problems, and I want them to feel like they're represented in their student government.
Thank you. We will move to Julian next for the same question.
Alright, the reason I'm running for ASB president is because I believe in recognition. I believe that everybody, no matter if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, deserves attention and deserves to feel great at Shorewood.
Thank you. Next will be Nick.
Hi. First off, I want to be ASB president because I want to win the election. But second, I'm trying to bring a nature theme to Shorewood. I want to have trees and plants. I want to make the air cleaner, and I want to bring a nice image to the hallways and the bathrooms and make a bunch of green in the hallways.
We are going to be switching. Sean will be next.
I want to run for ASB president because I want to give students the voice that they all deserve. I think students need to be more involved in what happens at the school and get a better say in how they want their school to be.
Right, and lastly, Jeremiah.
I want to run for president because when I was a kid, I felt when I was littler and I came here as a freshman, I felt like this school wasn't quite made for people like me, who like struggled and had issues and stuff. I don't want anybody to feel like that. So I want to run for those people, for all of you guys. So.
Thank you. We will move on to question 2. The order for this will be Jeremiah, then Nick, then Julian, then Jersey, and finally Sean. Question 2 is, who is your role model and what have you learned from him or her?
My role model has got to be Russell Wilson. He's a quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. His one mantra is that you never give up and you always try your hardest. And for me, it's been huge because I started when I was in elementary school. I started at the bottom of my reading level, and I had to work on my anxiety and my reading skills, and I was in a hole, and I dug myself back up. And I think that's a huge lesson that we should teach everyone here, because no one should be left behind.
Nick.
My role model it's got to be my dad because he's taught me a lot of great things, and I remember like one time when I was young, I was struggling with something like really, I was going through a lot and I was having trouble, and he said it's important to have a growth mindset, a positive frame of reference, and he said that you gotta always persevere through the trouble and the hardship, and that by keeping your frame of reference interesting and having a bunch of energy and being like really active like wherever you're going, then you can have a growth mindset and accomplish your goal. That's why my dad is my role model.
Thank you. Julian?
My role model is Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time. Not only was he a great boxer, but he was also involved in the society as a whole. He promoted for activism, for better rights for everyone, because you can be great and you can also make change. You can always do better.
Thank you. Jersey?
My role model is my brother. Around the time, I think it was sophomore year, I was struggling to come out as bi to all my friends, and he was already out to a bunch of his friends, and he told me that as long as you feel safe around those people, as long as you're in a safe environment, you can be yourself. And that has helped me so much in not just my sexual orientation, but in other facets of my life where I didn't feel confident. But as long as I felt safe, and as long as he made sure I felt safe, he inspired me to be more of myself.
Thank you. Sean?
I think one of my role models has to be my tennis coach, Peter Rennie. He has really been a father figure in my life, and he really sets an example on what we think kids can really do, unlocking their full potential, and focusing on individual students instead of focusing on a group of students. And I think he has really helped me realize that not everyone has to follow by the same rules, and everyone gets to decide who they want to be in their life.
Thank you. We are moving on to question 3. We will start with Sean this time. What do you believe is the most important quality in a leader, and why?
I think the most important quality would have to be creativity, and the ability to make something from nothing. With the ability to utilize tools, different types of people, and other perspectives that people see. That's the most important way for a student to really feel involved and respected in the community.
Thank you. Jersey is next, and Jeremiah's on deck.
I think the most important quality is kindness. Kindness has taken me further than my creativity can take me, or my intelligence has taken me. I've never been the best student, but I try to be kind to all the people I meet, and that has allowed me to make connections that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to make. And so I think kindness is the value that I just think can make these connections that need to be made.
I think it's perseverance, because I mean, when you talk about some of the greatest teams, some of the greatest presidents in the world, it all comes down to perseverance. And it even though I've lost elections and I've been through stuff, I've tried, I still feel like if you persevere, eventually, like what you're trying to fight for, it'll happen, because that's what working hard's all about. And that's why you should always be excited, and that's why I think leaders, it's the most important quality of a leader.
Thank you. Julian is next.
I believe courage is the most important trait in a leader, because the ability to be able to be like, I want this to be done, the ability to have a dream, the ability to believe in yourself, the ability to go up to someone you don't know and say hello. For anybody, for a leader, it takes great courage, and I believe that is what is most important in an ASB president.
Thank you. And lastly, Nick.
I think the most important quality in a leader is you gotta be super mobile, right? And I'm always mobile. Sometimes someone will hit me up. It will be like late at night. Sometimes it's not a common time to hit someone up, and they'll say, "Are you mobile right now?" I'll be on mobile, and then I'll show up. I'll be at their wherever they're at in like 20 minutes. And so if I'm always mobile, if someone needs my help, they say, "Hey, I need help with something," you're the president, I can be mobile, and I'll be there for them to help them through whatever they're going through. And so we need to have a mobile president here who can do like what they need to do in a speedy amount of time. Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to question 4. This order will be Nick, Sean, Jersey, Jeremiah, and Julian. Question 4 is, what is the most difficult obstacle you think you will encounter in this position, and how will you handle it?
I think probably the most difficult thing I'll encounter in this position is truthfully, there's like a kind of limited thing. There's a limited amount that the ASB president can do, but I'm all about pushing the limit, and I'm about passing the limit and making the limit even higher. So if I was president, I would strive through the trouble and the challenges that I would face, and I would accomplish so much. Probably the most that's ever been done to be accomplished is what I would accomplish as president. So yeah, that's the most thing I would struggle with.
Thank you. Sean?
I think the most common struggle amongst ASB presidents has been stress and handling the presidency, being a leader, schoolwork. Most presidents also have out-of-school jobs, and trying to communicate with every student, teacher, administrator, and everyone else on campus. And communication stress have always been a big trouble in my life. And I think even though I'm going to continue struggling with it, I think everyone has to be able to overcome it at one point. So communication stress would probably be number 1 for me.
Thank you. Jersey?
I think the biggest struggle I would face as president would be reaching out to the groups that I'm not a part of, robotics, choir, any musical group. I'm not a part of that, so I would need to find ways to reach out to those people who I don't have direct contact with. And I think that would be the hardest part at the beginning, but then it would allow for the best productivity to have that communication within all those groups.
Thank you. Jeremiah?
I think the number one obstacle is definitely just getting comfortable. Many times when big groups come together and start things like really progressive structural change, the one thing that happens a lot is that people get busy, people forget about the main goal, and I think that that's the biggest obstacle, is just trying to persist and never give up on your ideas or dreams.
Thank you. And Jillian?
I believe my biggest struggle will always wanting to be doing better, realizing that no matter how much I accomplish, there's always more that I can do. I feel like because of swim team and cross country, you can go a best time, but then you can always do better. And I feel like I will never be able to let that down, that there are some people who I just haven't reached yet.
Thank you. We are moving on to our 5th and final question. The order for this is Julian, then Jersey, Sean, Nick, and Jeremiah. If you were an office supply, which one would you be and why?
Off from Staples?
An office supply, yes.
Office. I was not expecting this one. I would go with, I really like the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. You can convey your information, you can write it on yourself, you can do anything with a pen. And yeah, I believe the written word is the most powerful thing in the world.
Thank you, Jersey.
I'd have to say a protractor, because the protractor itself, it's a pretty useless tool. But I'm not calling myself useless. But the protractor helps the pencil make a circle, and I feel like that's what I would try to do as president. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think I would just try to help people as the protractor helps the pencil.
Thank you, Sean.
Oof. I think I would have to be the desk. Because without something to give you the space to work with, you basically just be sitting on the floor, and that's not comfortable. And I want to give students the platform they need to work comfortably and get stuff done.
Thank you, Nick.
If I was the office supply, I would not be one, because here's the thing, right? Office supplies are like physical objects. You know, they don't have a brain, they don't have a mouth, they don't have like eyeballs and stuff. And so I cannot be represented by like a intangible object that doesn't even move or anything. And so what I'm saying is that I wouldn't even be an office supply. I would be a person, I would be a president, I would accomplish all the stuff that Shorewood needs to do. That's it.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
I would be the paper, because the paper is really what carries everything. Carries the messages, it carries what people write down, and really it's the decision of what we do with our papers and our ideas and our strategies that will make this place better for all of us, and that's why I think it's the most important thing for me personally.
Thank you, Nick, Jeremiah, Jersey, Julian, and Sean. This is going to be a very exciting campaign with all of you such qualified candidates. Make sure to read all the candidate platforms that have been posted on the Shorewood website activities page so you can learn more about the candidates. On Thursday, March 5th, you will learn from all of our candidates at the assembly during SAS. They are all preparing their official speeches, and they will present that at the assembly. Voting will take place during the assembly through an electronic ballot. The window will close on Friday at 12:15, so make sure you get your vote in. Voting is an important tool to build your voice and allow it to be heard. Therefore, now is a great time to start getting into the habit of sharing your opinion. Please take the time to thoroughly vote on these wonderful candidates, and thank you for listening.